things that seem unrelated. A crisis here, a scandal there, a new emergency that pushes the last one off the front page before anyone had time to process it. Political noise, financial noise, health noise, social noise, all of it erupting simultaneously, all of it demanding your attention, all of it pulling your eyes in 12 directions at once. That is not coincidence. Ashtar named it directly. He called it a distraction protocol, a deliberate mechanism designed to flood the conscious mind with noise so that the real event building underneath cannot be tracked. And the real event is this. A structural collapse is underway. Not a recession, not a correction. A foundational fracture in the systems that have held the current order in place. It is already visible in other countries. It will reach American soil within this cycle. I want to be straight with you about something. What I just said will sound extreme to some people. The part of you that was trained by institution, by schools, by news anchors, by authority figures who always had a calm explanation, that part may be pushing back right now. Good. That is not your discernment talking. That is the installed program doing what it was built to do. Your discernment already knew something was wrong. That is why you clicked on this. If you are feeling a pressure at the front of your head right now, or a tightening in your chest, something that arrived when I named the smokescreen, that is not anxiety. That is recognition. Your nervous system has been reading the real signal beneath the noise for weeks, possibly months. Your body registered the distraction protocol before your mind had a word for it. What you have been feeling is accurate. You were not wrong. The beings and councils transmitting through this channel have been preparing this specific communication for the current window. Ashtar does not transmit warnings without operational purpose. When he names something, it is because the timing requires it to be named. The timing requires it now. Stay with this. Let me tell you what your body has actually been experiencing, not in spiritual language, in the physical, specific, recognizable language of what it has felt like to be you in the last several months. You wake up exhausted after a full night of sleep, not groggy, exhausted, as if something worked through the night that your conscious mind was not invited to. The fatigue sits in your bones, not your muscles. You have tried more sleep, less sleep, different schedules. None of it moves the needle. The tiredness is not coming from your body. It is coming from what your body has been absorbing. When you go out, into stores, into crowds, into any space where large numbers of people are moving through their fear, you return home carrying something that was not yours when you left. A heaviness in the chest, a low-grade dread with no specific object. Sometimes a sadness that arrives without cause, like weather, and does not lift for hours. Your doctor calls it anxiety. Your family says you need to be around people more. They mean well. They are wrong about what they are looking at. Here is what Ashtar transmitted on this, and this is the part I have sat with for several days before saying it aloud. He said, "The sensitives have been functioning as unprotected receivers in an active collapse field. Every time one of them walks into a crowd of unawakened people whose reality structures are quietly breaking apart, they absorb the frequency of that breaking. They process it in their bodies. They carry it home. And then they blame themselves for the weight. The old contract required this absorption. That contract expired with the opening of this cycle. You do not have to keep paying it. If you are watching this and recognizing your own body in these words, the bone-level exhaustion, the unexplained heaviness, the way certain people in certain places cost you days of recovery, I want to point you towards something concrete. The guide pinned in the first comment below is called, "What the Galactic Federation Wants You to Know." It carries the three-layer explanation of the planetary shift, physical, energetic, and at the level of consciousness, that finally gives a name to what your body has been registering without explanation. It names the 8 specific signs of active awakening, each one described with enough precision that you will stop wondering if what you are experiencing is real. The link is in the first pinned comment below. Subscribe to Truth Frequency so the next transmission finds you, and drop your name, your city, and one word in the comments below. What your body has been carrying, or what you are ready to stop carrying. Say it. We are listening. There is an image I need to put in front of you. Not because it is poetic, because it is operationally accurate. A lighthouse does not leave its position to help the ships. It does not wade into the storm. It does not sacrifice its foundation to get physically closer to the danger. The lighthouse works because it stays, because the signal is consistent, because no matter what the ocean throws at the coastline, the light is in the same place, burning at the same frequency, and the ships that are looking for it know exactly where to look. You have spent years running into the storm. You sat with people who were not ready to be sat with. You absorbed pain that was never yours to carry and called it compassion. You walked into rooms where your sensitivity made people uncomfortable, and you made yourself smaller so they could be more comfortable. You did this because it is your nature to love, and the system, the old matrix, learned to use that nature against you. Every time you ran toward the chaos, you fed it. Every time you emptied yourself into someone else's fear, you left yourself less capable of holding the one thing the planet actually needs from you. But here is where I know many of you are stuck right now. Staying home feels passive. In a world that rewards visible action, constant movement, and loud presence, sitting in your living room feels like failing. It feels like you are watching from the sidelines while something important happens without you. That feeling is the Matrix's last remaining grip on you. It is the installed program telling you that your value only exists when it can be seen. The Pleiadian High Council, Mira, and the Council of Seven have been transmitting on this specific struggle for the last several weeks. Their message is consistent. The most advanced form of service available to the Starseed right now is invisible service. Holding frequency, staying anchored, not being moved. The grid running beneath this planet, the living network of energy the ancient builders aligned Stonehenge along, that runs beneath Sedona and beneath the sacred sites of the American Southwest. That grid is being held right now by people sitting in quiet rooms. Not marching, not broadcasting, staying. The collapse outside needs the chaos to spread. It feeds on reactive energy. Every person who abandons their anchored position to run toward the visible disruption becomes fuel for what they are trying to fight. Your refusal to be pulled out of your own field is not cowardice. It is the most sophisticated counter-operation available. Your silence is not surrender. It is the thing the distraction protocol was specifically designed to prevent. Something is coming in the next part of this transmission that Ashtar communicated with unusual urgency. I want to make sure you are ready to hear it clearly. Do not move. Your home is not your hiding place. That reframe matters more than anything I could say in the next several minutes, so I want to stay with it. Your home is an active node in a living network. When you are inside it, anchored, breathing, your field extending through the walls and into the neighborhood around you, you are functioning as what the Arcturian sphere calls a frequency stabilizer. You are not resting from the work. You are the work. The silence in your living room is not absence, it is a transmission. And that transmission is doing something measurable in the field around you that your physical eyes cannot detect, but that every awakened person within 2 miles of your location is registering in their body without knowing why. This is why Ashtar's warning is not just a prophecy, it is an operational directive. Stay home means stay in your node, stay in your transmission point. Do not abandon your position in the grid at the exact moment the grid needs every active point it has. The collapse that is building does not only threaten physical systems, banks, supply chains, institutional structures, it threatens the frequency architecture that holds the possibility of a new Earth in place. And that architecture is maintained by people like you, in homes like yours, doing exactly what the world tells you looks like nothing. If you are feeling warmth in the center of your chest right now, a quiet, steady heat that arrived without a specific cause, that is not imagination. That is your field recognizing the truth of what you are being told about itself. Your system knows the difference between a manipulation and a confirmation. What is happening in your chest in this moment is confirmation. But I need to tell you what comes next, because this is where the transmission gets harder. As the collapse becomes visible, and it will become visible in ways that are impossible to ignore, the people around you, who are not yet awake, will become frightened. Not quietly frightened, loudly, publicly, desperately frightened. And they will reach for you. Because something in them knows, without knowing why, that you carry something steady. They will call at 2 in the morning. They will show up unannounced. They will need you in ways they have never needed you before. And every cell of your loving nature will want to pour yourself out for them. That impulse is sacred. It is also the exact mechanism the distraction protocol counts on. The Syrian Brotherhood, the ancient keepers who have watched this planet through every previous transition, transmitted on this with the weight of accumulated millennia behind it. They said, the healers who emptied themselves in the final approach have always been the last to reach the other side, not because they failed, because they gave everything before the work was complete. You cannot pour from empty. You cannot transmit from a collapsed field. Stay home. Stay full. That is the directive. What Ashtar described as the visible fracture is not coming as one single dramatic event. It is coming as several things happening at once, in the financial system, in the food supply chain, in the regional power structures across the American interior. Not all at once in every place, but close enough together that the people who are not anchored will not know which direction to face. And the confusion itself is part of the design. You will not be confused. Not because you are smarter, because you stayed in your field. Because you did not spend the last weeks running toward every distraction the system threw out to keep you destabilized. The viewer who held their frequency during the smokescreen phase is the one who will recognize the fracture for what it is. Not a catastrophe, but a clearing. Not an ending. A delivery. Ashtar was specific about the geography of the initial fractures. He identified 3 types of American cities as the first visible pressure points. The major financial centers on the coasts, the industrial corridor cities that have been in slow structural decline for decades, and the mid-size regional cities in the interior that have built their entire economy on systems that are no longer structurally sound. He was not vague about this. He said, the fractures will be simultaneous enough to prevent the usual containment response. The system that has always managed collapse by localizing it will not be able to localize this one. A man named Robert from Ohio wrote to us 3 weeks ago. He said, I have been telling my wife for 2 years that something was coming. I could feel it in the economy of our town before any of the numbers showed it. People around me thought I was being negative. The numbers are starting to show it now. Robert was not being negative. Robert was reading the field. His nervous system was registering the structural decay months before it became visible to the analytical mind. That is not pessimism. That is the precise function of an awakened, sensitive operating correctly. The Matrix's final feeding mechanism in this phase is fear. Not the slow background fear it has always cultivated, the acute, sudden, overwhelming fear of visible collapse. When the fractures become impossible to ignore, the system will attempt to harvest the reactive energy of 7 billion people processing shock simultaneously. That harvest is what has sustained the old architecture through every previous attempt to dismantle it. The way you deny it that harvest is not by being unaffected. It is by being unswept. You can feel the weight of what is happening. You can grieve what is ending. But you do not let the grief become panic. You do not let the panic become paralysis. You feel it, you name it, and you hold your position. The Galactic Federation has identified the current window, the period we are inside right now, as the most consequential choice point in this entire transition. Not the most dramatic, the most consequential, because the choices made about where to place energy during the visible fracture phase will determine how much light is available to build with on the other side. That is not metaphor. That is operational intelligence from a collective that has overseen planetary transitions before. They know how this works. They are telling you where to stand. What Ashtar said last, and this is the part that carries the most weight, is this. He said, the ones who stayed in their homes, in their nodes, in their light, those are the ones the new Earth will be built by. Not the loudest voices, not the most visible activists, the ones who held steady when everything around them was designed to make steadiness feel impossible. That is your mission. You are already inside it. So let me give you something real for tomorrow morning. Not a concept, not a principle. Something you can do when you wake up at 3 in the morning and the knowing is louder than the quiet, and the familiar heaviness is sitting on your chest before you are fully awake. Lie still. Do not reach for your phone. Do not reach for the news. Place your hand flat on your chest and feel your heartbeat, that particular, specific rhythm that has never belonged to anyone but you. Breathe once, slowly, and say out loud, or in a whisper if someone is sleeping beside you, I am in position. I know what I am doing here. I am not lost. 3 sentences. That is not affirmation language. That is a report to the deepest intelligence inside you, the part that existed before this body and will exist long after it. You are telling it, I understand the assignment. I have not abandoned my post. The Syrian Brotherhood carries a phrase across millennia of planetary record. It translates as, the ones who stayed became the foundation. What they mean is precise. In every planetary transition they have witnessed, and they have witnessed this cycle before, in civilizations whose names your official history does not carry, the souls who held their frequency through the fracture phase did not just survive the transition. Their light became part of the new architecture. Literally, the frequency of the world that comes after is built from the accumulated light of the people who refused to be swept during the collapse. You are building it right now, in your living room, in your early mornings. In every moment you choose your own field over the chaos that is trying to pull you out of it. You are not watching history happen. You are the material it is being made from. I want to acknowledge something before the final words of this transmission. Some of you have been carrying this knowing for years, without a single person in your daily life who speaks this language. The loneliness of that is not a small thing. It is one of the heaviest dimensions of this particular mission, to feel the approach of something enormous, while the people closest to you call it anxiety and hand you a referral. I want you to feel, right now, the presence of the thousands of people watching this exact transmission in their own quiet rooms, their own dark mornings, their own private certainty. You are not alone in this room. You have never been alone in this room. If this transmission opened something in you, if any part of you felt recognized rather than just informed, the guide in the first pinned comment below is your next concrete step. What the Galactic Federation wants you to know carries the 5 daily practices designed specifically for this window. The Sovereignty Anchor, the Timeline Alignment Practice, the Light Anchor. It carries the 21-day activation calendar, a specific practice, a specific direction, a specific affirmation for every single morning of 3 consecutive weeks. So you never wake up in the dark without knowing exactly what to do with your hands and your field and your intention. The structure that turns everything this transmission opened into something you can live inside, every day, starting tomorrow. The link is in the first pinned comment. Subscribe to Truth Frequency so the next transmission reaches you before the next threshold arrives. Take this transmission and place it in front of one person in your life who has been feeling exactly what you just heard named. The exhaustion, the withdrawal, the knowing they cannot explain. They need to hear this. And in the comments, leave your name, your city, and one word. One word that names what you are calling in, what you are ready to release, or what your heart most needs right now. Write it below. Let the field register it. Let the rest of us know we are not alone. Your name, your city, one word. That is enough. That is everything. You did not come to this planet to watch the collapse from a distance. You came to hold the light inside it. You are in position. You have always been in position. Stay home. Hold steady. The command level has you in sight. And what they see when they look at you is not someone who is broken or lost or behind. What they see is someone who is exactly where they were always supposed to be, doing exactly what they were always supposed to do, at exactly the moment it matters most. The fleet is with you. The transmission is complete.